The residents of Fewladelphia have been petitioning the mayor to add in a much-needed ferry network to the city for an extremely long time due to the lack of road or rail infrastructure spanning the Fewhaven River Gap. The latest initiative involved thousands of residents taking to the streets, walking for miles on end and causing absolute traffic mayhem in order to bring this issue to the forefront of the mayor's attention, and this time, it worked. Finally, water permits have been issued, and today we're adding in a new ferry line with 3 new stops, plus new commercial fishing industry, and several attempts to fix traffic. Let's dive into the Bridges and Ports update. Alright, so here we are, Fewladelphia post Bridges and Ports patch, and yes, there's a few warnings. Our forever death care issues are still in abundance across the city, but our roads are nice and clear. There's not really any traffic jams, there's not crowded streets of pedestrians. But if we just sit back and let the city run for a little bit, things change. So 12 hours later, Fewladelphia has become Manhattan, apparently. So yes, we have severe traffic problems and a huge amount of pedestrians trying to get everywhere. I mean, this is quite frustrating. Just, walk around the car. But there's so many pedestrians walking really far distances. I think that's actually a key contributor to a lot of the traffic that we're seeing around some of these places. Now, this whole area was actually backed up not that long ago, and somehow it's cleared now. So it's kind of nice to know that it does ebb and flow, and maybe it will get better with time. But there's just so many people walking, and they're walking so far. We checked Merrick Farley here. He is walking from Fisher's Point all the way into Fewhaven down to here, which is pretty insane. Like, there's no reason they should be doing that at all. Felicia Patton is interestingly walking to this bus stop right here, which raises a big question for me on buses. Because at the moment, our bus lines are really concentrated into this area. Fewhaven, Gaudy Bay, Atkinson, Few Quay is all really well connected by buses. Tinney has its own bus network as well around the Institute of Technology. But Fisher's Point, 0 buses. Burrill, 0 buses. No bus connection from this side of the city through to this one. So I think that might be a contributing factor. Maybe it's an expense thing. They don't want to take the train for whatever reason. I mean, we see what wealth is like on a lot of these people. Wretched, poor, retired, wretched. Oh no, modest? Okay, so they're not all... But maybe that modest person wasn't actually walking as far. Wretched, poor, wretched. So household wealth has a lot to do with it, I think. If we head up here to the train station, I'm actually curious. Oh my goodness. Wealthy, modest, wealthy, wretched, wealthy, wretched. Okay, so it's not kind of like linked to necessarily more wealthy people using the train and the poor people not using the train. But I don't know. For some reason, a lot of people are not using the train when they could quite easily do that. Or the tram network, indeed, to get around. So we're going to have a little rework of public transit, looking at some of the new Bridges and Ports stuff. Onto that in just a second. As well as try and fix some of this traffic. I mean, what is this? What is this? All the way up the highway. We've also got major problems at this intersection here, backing up in both directions. We've got, some problems all over, really. Only a little bit of traffic, really, in the centre of Gaudy Bay and Fewhaven there. But it's mainly those big sort of collector arterial highway roads which are struggling, and not all of them, so this one's not too bad. Until we get to here. Oh, yowzers. This is something else. But let's concentrate on getting our ferries in first. Of course, we've been waiting for these for so long in this city, and this is going to really revamp it. So ferries first, then buses, then we'll look at some traffic fixes afterwards, as well as some other additions to the city that I want to make with the new Bridges and Ports stuff. So the first thing we need for ferries is the ferry depot, and if you look at the size of this thing, it's like pretty much the same size, if not taller, than our stadium here. So it's absolutely massive, and it's not really going to fit into any of our areas we have, existing areas in Fewladelphia. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to place it in here. right about there is absolutely fine because this edge lines up nicely to where this starts to come out into the hills, which will turn into a park eventually. And this kind of lines up reasonably well with the coastline here. I think we can blend this in quite nicely, particularly where it's sort of hidden a little bit by this hill here. It doesn't look quite as monstrous as it otherwise would. So of course we do need a road connection here, so I'm just very simply going to join it in with this one. And that'll do for the time being. We'll come back to this area later on, and then, yeah. With all that traffic, we're getting major health and more death and garbage problems and all sorts. We've actually got a sewage problem over there. Our water treatment plant is overloaded, so let's just go and check that. Yes, we have run out of sewage treatment capacity and all of our processing units have been activated. So we need more water sewage treatment before we do anything else, in fact. Now we do have the Japanese water treatment plant, which we haven't got in here yet, which actually I think has the same capacity, yes, as the main one. Although I'm not sure if it's upgradable or not. I've actually never placed this one in yet. So let's see if we can find a reasonably suitable place for this. And I'm kind of thinking maybe out here over by the power station could be pretty good for this. Yeah, we'll plop it in there and we'll give it a road connection. And okay, this looks super ugly, but again, we're going to come back to this later on. This is just a necessity for right now. Let's just check if our pipes are all connected. Yes, they are. So that should have got rid of our sewage problems, which yes, it has. So there we go. Okay, that's that problem solved. Back to ferries. Now, of course, there's two locations we've already earmarked for this. So one, we have the cruise terminal over here in Few Haven, and the other was this little peninsula right here. So this is what I'm going to work on first, and then we'll talk about the other stops. Now, for this, we could just use the one that plops onto the quay quite nicely here, because we've got quays in this place. I think we did. Oh, maybe we actually did the other technique here of elevated roads. I can't quite remember now. Either way, we're actually going to use this ferry pier because I think it would be quite nice to have it sticking off the end here. So let's go ahead and grab our road. Now, we do have a road that ends round about here. So I think let's get this one in like that, and we can use that as a road to align our ferry pier to. So yeah, now it snaps nicely into that road and it doesn't stick too far out into the water as well, which I think is quite a nice thing here. I can plop it in here. I've got some of the decals showing through all the surface there, so we maybe look to see if we can just use Move It to raise this up just a tiny bit. Okay, so that's one ferry pier in. Now I want to make this end of the pier actually a little bit nicer and then keep in a bit of an abandoned area down this side. So it is like someone's come in with some modern development and added in the ferry pier and another additional building, which I'll come back to in just a second down this end. So let's grab our marquee tool and we'll just grab decals only. So yeah, we can just move all of these decals back to somewhere over here because I really like that little sand patch as well. I think that worked pretty well. We also have these lights, so let's just separate them a tiny bit more, if indeed we can. Yeah, that'll be okay. And then down this end, what I do want to add is one building that we haven't used from the Leisure Venues Content Creator Pack. And if you would like to pick up any of these Content Creator Packs, please do check out today's video sponsor, which is Instant Gaming. Over on Instant Gaming, you can find massive discounts for all of the Cities Skylines franchise DLCs, including Bridges and Ports, as well as a massive range of other games like Farming Simulator 25, Europa Universalis, Age of Empires, Ark Raiders, Jurassic World Evolution 3, Planet Zoo and all of its corresponding DLCs, as well as the entire Sims shebang. And if you go and check it out via my link in the description below, you'll also be helping to support this channel. So go ahead and bag yourself a deal. So the building that I do want to use from the Leisure Venues is the Lobster Tail, a seafood restaurant, which I think would just be highly appropriate at the end of our pier here near our ferry stop. And I think what we can do is tidy up this surface a bit, add in some new textures down here to make it look a little bit smarter around the ferry stop. But I think that makes kind of a cool addition down here, having the seafood restaurant. That as well kind of looks like it maybe once could have been an industrial building that's been smartened up. Like this looks a little bit warehouse-like, or fishery-like at least. So I think that will be a nice addition to have here. And we're not going to actually put a fishing pier on this point here because frankly it's a bit too large to fit into this space, especially with our ferry stop here as well. But what I would like to do is detail this area with a few fishing props and maybe some fishing boats in the water to make it actually look like maybe there is some fishing activity going on. Maybe they're catching lobsters in this part of the sea, going straight to the restaurant, fresh to the plate. Let's go ahead and tidy up this area and then we'll come on to the rest of the ferry line. Right, so there's our first small ferry stop, and I can't decide if I like it or not, but the idea was to keep this area a bit abandoned and not yet developed, and have the newer edition of the ferry stop and maybe this old fishing hut that's been converted into a restaurant on the end. I think it's okay. There's a little semblance of the fishing stuff here. The annoying thing is if I press play quickly, because we have some issues, the fishing boat props do not float, so they don't bob in the water. They're just static props where you can see like the yacht here bobbing away. The fishing boats just stay totally perfectly still, which makes it somewhat unrealistic, which is a bit frustrating. But it's not the end of the world. I think the important thing is we've got fishing boats here and we have people coming in parking in our little car park as well, which is quite nice to see. Wonderful. But yeah, I kept it super simple, like it was this old industrial yard that's just kind of been repurposed, and this section was repaved, but it's since cracked for the car park area. That was the idea behind it. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. Oh, we do have a little lobster fishing area over here as well, which I thought was kind of cute. But the next thing I do want to do is get to the ferry stop over here. So this was our OG harbour that's never actually been in use. It's always been turned off since we very first put it in. Now, longer term, I do not want cruise ships over here. That's going to go into a harbour right next to the downtown. I'm thinking somewhere along the waterfront along here. And previously we were going to use the cruise ships as a ferry option because that was the only thing in the game if we had got onto downtown before Bridges and Ports was out. But obviously now we know we've got smaller ferries in the game. We're going to do something that I rarely do and delete this out. I'm a little bit nervous. Oh my god. Here we go. It's gone. It's gone. We still do have our little taxi bay here, which is kind of cute, but obviously everything else is gone. Wow, you can see you can see all of the decals here. Gonna need to get rid of those as well. Okay, that'll do. So we do also have a bus stop out here as well, which we're going to have to do something with. I'm going to come back to that in a second because the ferry stop that I would like to use here is actually the terminal. So the larger building, which I think will fit into this space quite well. We've got a large space for it, so we've got plenty of room to add it in. And also I think longer term, we're probably going to want a couple of different ferry routes. So we'll obviously have the one that comes from Fewhaven over here, drops into the end of Fisher's Point, and it's going to head on round to another ferry stop, which we'll come on to in a second, over here just on the outskirts of Tinney. And then I'm thinking from Fewhaven it would be good to have another ferry line which goes straight into the downtown where the main harbour will be, so the cruise ships can come in and the ferries can come in there, so tourists from the cruise ships can get around the city as they see fit. So having the terminal here and having a couple of ferry stops I think will be helpful. So yeah, we're gonna try and integrate this into what we've already got around it and see how we go. So let's just pop it in for starters, and then we're gonna want to align it a little bit nicer than that. And we're gonna just drop it back a touch into the coastline here. Now obviously we've got a lot of tidying up to do around it, but that's not too bad as a start. It's very low to the to the water, isn't it? But actually the ferries are pretty small, so I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem. Now this is where we start to have a few little issues in terms of how we're actually going to connect this in, because what I would like to do is add in the bus terminal upgrade to this, so then we can reroute the bus line that was coming into here into this space as well. Help people get out and around into Gordy Bay, Atkinson, wherever they want to go from here. So I think what we'll do here is actually just use the one-way public transport line, because it does hold emergency vehicles. So I think that's going to be suitable for us to use right here. And if we just extend it on something like that, obviously we need to turn that around. That is going to loop the bus stop into there. So let's just do a little line check here, yes, and we can bring that into the bus station. And they should hopefully flow in and out of there quite nicely, actually. So we'll see how that goes, but I think that's going to sit in reasonably well. We obviously need to tidy up the front, and then the taxi stop isn't too far away, so that's not too much of a problem. And then it also means that hopefully the taxis will actually use this rather than the one that was in the cruise terminal, where you can see they're queuing up right now. And then of course we have all of this space to fill, so I'm kind of keen to keep some of it sort of open and empty like we had before. And we're going to need to do a little bit of fixing of the ground here because, yeah, wow, that's kind of ugly. So one of the other things I'd like to put in here as well is something new from Bridges and Ports, which is some fishing industry, which I think will go quite nicely alongside our ferry terminal here as well. So I'm going to turn off snapping to get this in because it's not snapping into the right places that I want to see. I'm going to try and eyeball it in line with our ferry terminal there. And then we can do some nice keys in between. So let's go and get, I think we're going to get the wide one with the deep rib pattern because it looks quite industrial, and I think that's going to suit as a little section in between these areas. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. And now we want a road connection into the fish area. So we're just going to use an alleyway road for this. I don't think we need anything more than that. And what we could do is loop it round here and also go in this direction so that we can add on some of the cold storage units. So we can have a large cold storage here. Is that going to connect to the road? No, it is not. Okay, now it is. And then so let's come on and put in our fishing piers. Now I'm hoping with a bit of anarchy, yeah, we can kind of ignore the collision on one side. Yes, and just get it in like this, so the fishing berth is going to be over here. That is good, because you can't in vanilla. If it's on land, you simply can't use it. So that's always going to complain, that's fine. Not too worried about that. But we do now have our fishing pier out that way. So it's not going to interfere with our ferries, which I think is the important thing here. Now with the ferries, I think we are just going to come straight out. Not too far like that. because we've got enough space for them to sort of come in from this side. It's not too close to the shore and then go out. I don't think we need to go any more complex than that with our pier structure. Actually, that seems to have gone in reasonably straight, which is nice to see. That doesn't always happen. And obviously, we still need to put in our small seaways, our fishing areas and fishing lines, well, and our ferry lines too, but I do want to get a third stop in, so I'm just going to hold off until we've got that one in before we do all of that. So for now, let's go ahead and tidy up this area. And that is a lot better. Actually, it's fitting quite nicely. It's really changed the vibe of Fewhaven Harbour over here. But I'm actually pretty pleased about that. I think this is cool. So yeah, we've got a fishing boat up on, well, on fertiliser spreaders, but we'll ignore that. It simulates the idea of a boat being fixed, I hope. Now, I did actually have trouble with the landscape here, where the fishing pier is pushing the terrain down. I had to use the cubes to level it all out, so it looked a bit more natural. Although this bit is now super clean compared to the rest of it. But we could just say maybe they've resurfaced this area and put in a new boat ramp, perhaps? We've then got a little abandoned area here, broken down building of sorts. And then we come on to the fish yard, just the usual few little decals and the odd prop here or there. Really like the Real Vision actually blending in this concrete surface into the outside. Works quite nicely, I think, as well, into the grass there. And then over to the ferry terminal. I really didn't do a lot to this other than sort out the surfaces up front, so it looks like we actually have relevant places for the buses to come in and out now. A little bit of seating out the front here too, for people perhaps waiting for their ferries who aren't sitting out over this side. I love these benches. Absolutely love those benches. Or in the little cafe in the terminal over there. But I actually quite like this asset. At first I didn't, but now that I've integrated it into a proper waterline, yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. So okay, let's go ahead and get in our third ferry stop, which is going to go all the way over here. Now, we're not going to detail around this one. We are just going to place it in for now, and then when we come back to this area, we'll sort it out. I think the shoreline ferry stop will do quite nicely, so yes, let's add that in there. We do need a road connection, however, so we can fix that. There we go, and perhaps just for convenience, let's also offer them a car park for the moment as well. So we'll just drop that in there. Again, we'll come back to this. It's not going to stay like this forever, and in fact, actually, we might want to just sort this out a touch. Make sure we've actually got some coastline space for our ferries to come into land here. So first things first, let's get in our narrow boatway. And I'm going to worry about connecting into the ferry terminal in just a second, but we're going to start from here and we're just going to loop it around the outside of Fisher's Point. I think we're pretty much going to come up in a straight line, fairly close to the coastline here, and try and loop it directly in. Yeah, like that'll do. And then we're going to come out of here, which is going to be quite a tight bend. And while we pass the castle, I may as well add as well, I know we talked about potentially putting a ferry line onto the castle island. Now, we could totally do that. And I was thinking just the simple ferry stop, the one that snaps onto a quay, might do pretty nicely at the bottom of the hill here. So we might come and add that in, but we'll see how we go. I think for the moment, I am just going to leave this as is, though. And we'll worry about that another time. For now, I just mainly want to give people this second transport option to try and get around the city to minimise some of the traffic chaos that we are seeing. So yeah, that'll do. I do also want to go ahead and delete this large seaway that we had coming in here, because we don't really need that into this area anymore. Well, at the moment at least. So let's now connect the ferry terminal in, and I think we'll have two options. Depending on where the ferry is heading when it comes out of the terminal, then it can kind of more smoothly get to all of the different stops in question. So yeah, let's go ahead and add in our line. I'm quite excited for this. Finally, it's been a long time coming. Oh, and interestingly, can we not get to... We not actually got a stop here. So it would appear that we did not make our terminal pier long enough to have actual stops on. I mean, the ferries are tiny, so if that doesn't work, I don't know what will. Okay, so we'll try again, and we're going to go backwards and forwards, so it is going to stop there in the middle in between times. So, yeah. That's our ferry line in. I'm kind of reluctant to press play. As you can see, we have got traffic warnings and medical chaos all across the city, which we need to go and fix in just a second. So we can press play, and we'll see if it helps. I am worried about people dying, though. We've already lost 2,000 citizens, so we might need to keep an eye on that. Anyway, let's connect up our fishing now as well that we've pressed play. So I would like to have a fish farming area and a fishing area for this. And the fish farming area, I was trying to work out where would be the most appropriate place for it. Like, I kind of don't really want it right in the middle of the water in case of larger ships coming through or anything like that we might do later on. So I was thinking, and we're probably going to have more fishing over there, so we don't want it too far away. So I was kind of thinking maybe a smaller area over here by the castle island might be quite nice, or we could even do something in the bay, although I'm not really sure having all the fishing nets out there would be the best thing. We do have the small little lobster farm over here, so perhaps in this space might work quite nicely for the farm area. So yeah, just to be clear, this area, the fish farming area, we are going to get the nets spawning in. So we want to be a little bit more careful about where we are putting that. But I think that's out of the way enough that it should be okay. And then our fishing area, which I also definitely want to have, we could have just out in the bay here, have a few boats going backwards and forwards to this space. And we might actually have multiple of these. Because the other thing I haven't checked is the actual fish map. And yeah, okay, we're okay. There's actually no fish in here. Well, not very many. There's a few. Not as populous as these spaces. There's a fair few there. There's a decent amount there. Okay, so maybe we do another fishing area around this side. Because we're unlikely to add more fishing around the Gaudy Bay coastline, I don't think. Yeah, that'll do. And then we can just connect them up. That should work. So let's go ahead and get ourselves some lines. So we'll have one line that goes to the fish farm. And then I think we're going to have another line which kind of goes in and out of the two different fishing areas. Like that. So all three of them are serviced. Oh, we've already got some fish farm things spawning in. And this is the one industry that I don't mind this happening in. I think this is quite nice. This is quite pleasant. I like having this in the water. Really nicely done. We won't talk about inland fishing. There will not be any inland fishing in Fewladelphia. That is for sure. What a terrible asset. If you haven't seen it, don't bother. Okay, so yeah, here we go. We've got ferries. We've got fishing boats. Things are happening. Things are happening. This is very exciting. So let's take a look at our ferry. Oh yes, look, the passengers are already coming in. Okay, so we've got 8 here. Let's have a little look at the different stops. So 0. Oh yeah, no, we got passengers coming into our ferry as well. Look at that. Oh, they're all flowing in. Now with public transport connections to here, they can walk out to this point and get straight onto the tram line. So I'm pretty happy with that. We've obviously got a bus going direct to the ferry out here, and then the one in Tinny we'll worry about another time. But actually, if we go over here and have a little look, we could see if anyone is potentially using this. Passengers waiting 0. There is someone coming. There is someone coming. Now, I've just realised we do have the tram line flowing through here, so we could actually help them out by adding in a tram stop at this point, because there is nothing here at the moment. And I think we'll do it here, so that they don't have to cross any roads if they didn't want to. Well, that's kind of weird, right? I don't know why it would... I don't know why it would look like that on the stop, but I'm hoping that's okay. We'll maybe keep an eye on that and make sure the trams aren't misbehaving at that point. But that'll give people nice access to this ferry if they wanted to, because that tram serves all of Tinny and all of Fisher's Point. And actually, Beryl could quite easily get out to this as well, even though they're... So, yeah, that should work. We've got another person coming in as well. So, yeah, okay. That ferry stop is also in service. So we'll see how that does and see if that helps the traffic situation, having that connection in now, bridging the gap, as it were. Oh my. We won't look at that. So that's ferries. Let's now get in a bus line. Oh my. I'm not sure we want to get in a bus line, you know. It's just going to get stuck on our roads, particularly where I want to bring in a bus into this park and ride from the other sectors. I don't really think that's a huge factor in this traffic chaos, people having buses. I mean, a lot of these are trucks, and I know the big change was truck traffic, but I do wonder if we actually go into our or taxation menus, I should say, and go to industrial. Could we tax vehicles? We're already taxing them a fair bit. We're actually not making... Yeah, we're not making very much money off vehicles. We have not by any means got a surplus of cars. We're not making enough cars So we probably don't want to tax them anymore. Yeah, we've got a huge deficit in the processing department. Because I was thinking to myself, we tax cars really heavily. Will that keep them off the road and get them onto public transit? But maybe not. The other thing I'm conscious of as well, we're making an absolute ton of money. So let's maybe go into our public transit lines and make everything free. So that's lost us about 20k an hour, it seems. It seems to be settling on 193 there or thereabouts. So, well, 17k an hour gone by making all of our public transport free. And it's 1 a.m. in the morning. There's no one asleep in this city? Yeah, I think one of our biggest problems is the amount of pedestrians actually on the street blocking traffic, but also, I mean, just the sheer volume of traffic absolutely everywhere. So what I do want to do, while we wait and see if all of those public transit improvements help at all, is come in and fix a few of our obvious road problems. Because, yeah. we have a lot of problems right now. Now here we've got a queue which stems all the way back to this intersection. You can see the traffic is pretty clear actually from that direction onwards. But these guys have got major problems going straight on this highway, which is blocking the traffic all the way back here. And if we scoot down the highway a little bit further all the way to Atkinson, our roundabout here is actually functioning pretty well. Like, it is lower traffic at this point, but this kind of custom roundabout setup seems to be working quite nicely. So I'm thinking to myself, what I'm going to do is do that same thing down here. And this intersection is also fine. So we're going to do the same thing, add in a roundabout at this point to connect in all of our different directions here. And hopefully that will keep things moving a little bit better, so that we don't have this queue of traffic backing all the way up, down the, oh my goodness, down the highway. This way, it doesn't stop. It literally, it doesn't stop. Okay, so having let this run a little bit, things do seem to be clearing up. So this traffic jam that was backed up for literally miles down there, I mean, we've still got random traffic things going on here, which we'll come on to in just a second. But that has cleared quite a bit, actually. And they seem to be flowing around the roundabout reasonably well. I've used some of the traffic mods priorities tool here. So priority going this way. I don't know why they're still slowing down at this point and yielding as you come round the roundabout. So the highway essentially going on this way. So from the bottom of the screen to the top of the screen has priority technically on this roundabout, even though they are still waiting a little bit. But a tiny bit of traffic like this, I do not mind at all. I feel like that's realistic and it's actually kind of satisfying to watch. This is maybe slightly longer than I'd prefer, but it's when it's backing up the entire highway that it just becomes a major problem to me. So I think that's helped a bit. And I have, of course, also introduced a new kind of exit ramp off here, which wasn't there previously. Previously, they could only get onto this roundabout and not off, and only from this direction, actually, as well. So that might be not helping the situation, but we'll see how that goes. So yes, that is an absolute ton better than it was previously. So I think we're okay with that. Maybe time will be a bit of a healer as well. So the traffic here, I mean, they're stopping at a light here. That's not so bad. Through the rest of Few Haven and down into Gaudy Bay, actually, it's pretty good all across this side of the city. I like to think that that is a well-planned area of the city. It's our highways over here, which are the next issue. So this is just pure chaos. And I am thinking maybe we do introduce another bespoke built roundabout rather than the default here, because it's just like, yeah, they don't operate very well on it. But actually half the problem I'm just seeing now is the fact that the traffic is backing up onto the roundabout from here. So this is maybe the next thing that we want to sort out. And again, using the priorities tool here is going to be pretty helpful. So yes, you guys yield. Oh my god, what did that do? And you guys have priority. That's going to be the key thing here. So again, we'll make sure that these guys yield and the people on the main road can go straight on. There's a lot of pedestrians crossing here, which may be the issue. And of course our church. There we go. That's better. Just needed a little click with move it and it's absolutely fine. But yeah, there's a huge ton of pedestrians crossing, which I actually think is probably the main issue here. Now we do have room this side. Could we potentially squeeze in some room this side? We probably could. So if we raise this up 7.5 meters and head across the road here and then back down. I mean, obviously we'll have to get rid of the bushes, etc. And then we come in here and turn off this pedestrian crossing. They cannot cross the road there. And potentially we'll actually do it here too, but we'll allow them to cross the side streets because frankly if they block the traffic from there it's not a huge issue. Let's just see how that goes. Someone is using it. It's very steep, so we might have to pretend there's stairs on this one. It's not a hugely accessible pedestrian option. Okay, so people are using it. We have got some really nasty stuff happening at the bottom of the paths, but I may to choose to ignore it here. Is that helping the traffic though, I guess is the big question here. Now we probably, yeah, we don't have a dedicated left-hand turn lane here, so that's perhaps the next thing we should do. Let's take off that straight on. We'll add it there. Let's remove the U-turns while we're at it. We'll also do the same thing the other side as well. And it's it's still chaos. It's still chaos. Oh, okay, a load of cars despawned. Maybe that will help. I mean, we still have this horrible issue with people not changing lanes till far too late, like that car that you can see here. So it's blocking traffic in that the right-hand lane, I should say, from this direction. But is everyone wanting to turn right? That's really interesting. Where are they all going? Well, that doesn't make any sense. That really doesn't make any sense. Maybe this is a time thing. I've screwed up all of their routes and their directions, so potentially time will be a bit of a healer here. Yeah, we're seeing a few more people wanting to go straight on. Why would everyone turn down the tiny side street? We've got these giant trucks coming through the back streets as well. So potentially this is where some of our district policies could come in really handy. So we could ban trucks from this entire area because, yeah, there is quite a few trucks coming through here. So let's again try that. Let's go to our district tool and we'll just go down this side just as a bit of a test. Down this side of Burrill. Now we need to allow them to come in, so we'll allow them to come in this way and then turn up into the industrial area, but not go straight on. Although we do have commercial. Will the commercial still get fed? I've no idea. I've absolutely no idea. Right, let's try this. So Barlow Grove, that's not going to be it. It's going to be called Brill No Trucks. Heavy traffic ban. That's what we want. So we're going to try that and see if that stops the trucks from coming down here and reduces the amount of traffic that we have coming into this intersection this side. The other thing we could try, of course, is a traffic light. But I don't think that's going to help because the amount of people that are turning right here is pretty crazy. And they're just going to block each other in either direction because the vanilla traffic light system is a little bit crap, shall we say. So after a little while, we still have a hell of a lot of people turning right here. So I am wondering if we do try and help them by actually raising the speed limit on this road, which I know sounds maybe a bit dangerous, but we're going to try it. So this is 50 kilometers per hour. So we're going to say this is a faster 4-lane road. If we raise it to 70, so that's 45 miles per hour, I'm guessing, because it's different here. So 45 miles per hour doesn't seem, well, it's probably 40. If we're going on UK standards, this road would definitely be no more than 40. But we'll make it a little bit higher. We'll see how that goes. So let's then pick up this segment of road and we're going to upgrade these segments with it. And for some reason we are still getting trucks through this district, so I wonder if that is a sort of hangover of when we've started the heavy traffic ban. Maybe they'll all go. It does seem like there's fewer cars coming out of there. I'm actually going to try with the traffic priorities tool to make this a stop. So they have to stop, and we'll see how that goes. They're probably going to be waiting there for a while, although they just don't seem to stop, do they? They just keep coming. They just keep coming. So the next thing is to try is a traffic light. Let's see if that does anything to help. And we're not really seeing a reduction in traffic. But there does seem to be more cars going through, so I think longer term that will help. Not really sure how much more I can do with that. I have to say, actually, we're now at 2 PM in the afternoon. You compare that to our shot before of 1 AM, and there's far less pedestrians, so maybe they are sort of calming down a little bit, and time will be a healer. We shall see. But this junction also causes us quite a lot of problems. It's not... I was about to say it's not. It's not too bad at the moment. The backup isn't extreme, so I'm not too worried about that. We have got serious issues though. Yeah, I think this is the next section we do need to look at in this roundabout. The vanilla roundabouts do not seem to work well at all, but this does largely seem to be caused by these pedestrians crossing here. So a pedestrian bridge or an underpass of some description here, definitely needed. So it would appear no one is using my underpass and they're actually all converting to cross over here, which is just not helping the situation. So let's also have a pedestrian bridge over this side. Okay, that does appear to have helped quite a bit. And we've got a lot of people using the bridge as well, so that is definitely the way forward. This is quite ugly though, let's face it, this is quite bad, so let's just drop the height down because it definitely doesn't need to be that tall. That is a bit better. And now we're getting traffic backing up in this direction from here. What's happening at this point? Oh, Okay. Well, that's a bit weird. Can I delete him? Yes. Sorry, we'll also delete your trailer. I'll just have to pretend their car's been stolen or something. So this is frustrating, to say the least. Why is everyone turning up here? There's nothing even out this way. And everyone's blocked up from this car parking road here, where we've got this car. Oh, it's trying to do a U-E. Yeah, okay, you're going as well. So that's got things moving on the street again here. Hopefully that'll be a little bit better. My goodness, it's just it's just never ending. The other thing I do want to do here is help out this highway. So obviously we've got 3 lanes there. I think this section needs to be a 6-lane highway. So we don't have one of those, like the conjoined versions. So what we're gonna want to do here is go into Road Builder and give ourselves an extra lane. And we can call this a 6-lane joined highway. So now they have the slip rank back off there. Hopefully that will help to sort a bit of this traffic out. I mean, that is not allowed. Sir, you are not allowed to do that. Let's fix that. Oh, hang on a second. The traffic is cleared. Oh my god. It's gone and now it's a problem in a different area. This was all clear just a second ago. Do you know what? I feel like it's going to ebb and flow and maybe I could be here for hours trying to fix small little problems. And I don't think that area is too much of a problem. This was, but that seems to be better now. Yeah, this is much clearer. So there's a couple of cars just blocking everything. It's causing absolute chaos. I wonder if that's the case in a lot of places. And maybe it is a case that time will be a healer. My god! Is this what free public transit does? Oh my goodness. Yeah. Our tram stops are incredibly busy and most of our trams are full. I'm guessing that's what changing the ticket price to free does. I'm going to look back in the video to see how many people were actually using our public transit beforehand and how much that has changed. We've now got 20, I feel like it wasn't this much. We've got 23,000 using our trains. Which is, I mean, that's the funicular. That's no surprise to me that there's hardly any there. We have a little look at our ferries. How's that doing? We've got 152 passengers. We've got a lot. Oh, we've got a ferry that's full. And we've got a hell of a lot of people waiting here. Fisher's Point. Well, I mean, that's good. Oh, wow. Look at the people coming off the ferry there in their droves. I mean, it is kind of good. It is kind of good. I don't know how realistic this is, the ferry going around the fishing farms there. We may have to adjust that a little bit. Yeah, our public transit is incredibly busy. Oh wow, this road has completely cleared. That is quite remarkable. And so has this one. So that traffic really does come and go quite quickly. I think that's only been on 1 speed since I've been doing that. So that is good news indeed. I kind of think we're going to leave it and see how it does. We've got a crash here now, which isn't going to help. We've got a burnt down vehicle there. And I definitely think we want to upgrade this to a proper roundabout. So I'm going to do that in between episodes and sort that out. Just before we move on, I do want to show off some of our monthly community challenge winners because I've failed to do this for the last couple of months. So first up here we have Jack, who won our Round and Round community challenge in August with this amazing Pokeball park. Absolutely love this. Next up we have Booty Addict, who won our Over the Hills and Far Away community challenge in September with this awesome zoomed out shot of his city Los Vacos. Awesome work here too. And then finally we have last month's winner Rizira with this awesome shot inspired by the Italian coastline in our Deja Vu community challenge. And each month's winner wins a game of their choice. So if you're interested in joining in and being in with a shot of winning a game of your choice, November's theme is Over and Under, all about bridges. So head on over to our Discord, which is linked in the description below, to join in and find out all the details. We're so close to 1,000 people there as well, so come and join us. And congrats again to all of our community challenge winners. Some beautiful shots there. Okay, so final thing for today is another thing from the Bridges and Ports update. which is something I've been waiting for so long, which is adding boats into our waters, into our marinas. I'm going to be doing loads more with Bridges and Ports content over the next few episodes, but for today it was kind of a let's fix and make over our city in places. But we've got empty marinas like this that I definitely want to fill with boats, so we're going to go ahead and do that and add in boats around our waters in certain places as well, and fix up some of our existing areas to make the waters look busy. And would you look at that? Just a few little boats dotted around and filling our marina, and it looks a million times better. So yeah, I've just dotted them in various different places. I saved you the pain of having a look at it. We've got a sailing club over here. I thought I'd go for that kind of theme. We've got a lot of yachts and large sailing boats outside of gaudy bays. Beachfront over here. I thought that was appropriate with all the rich people in the mansions up there. Now we actually don't have that many marinas across the city, so it didn't take that long. It's really the sailing club there and the little marina in Fisher's Point over here. Now I have added in a few random boats around, but we will come back and do more of that, and specific marinas and luxury housing with their own little boat docks and that kind of thing, because we can now. That's very exciting. We've also got actually a bit of a dock over here in the old Navy Yard area. But yeah, wow, it just makes so much difference having those in. It's pretty crazy. And also, I did just note, traffic on this road has actually cleared. So, although it hasn't over here, so we are going to go ahead and fix this roundabout. I'm also going to do a little bit of lane helping over here by upgrading this to a 6 lane, just so they have the extra capacity for this slip road. They can kind of merge and have an extra lane going straight on a little bit earlier than what they're doing now, because that is the cause of the traffic, is the hawky-balky, stupid behaviour. Right, well I think it's safe to say that that did help a little bit, because that is all clear. But we now have a backup from somewhere down here. This junction. Do you know what? I've been watching, and also this is totally screwed. This was all clear a minute ago. This was literally entirely clear, and now it's incredibly backed up. I've been watching the traffic for quite some time, and it hugely ebbs and flows now with this new update, which I kind of think is quite cool. It's sort of frustrating if you're trying to traffic fix, and I mean, I've learnt from this episode, if not from any other time, that I'm definitely not skilled in the traffic fixing department, shall we say. So I'm going to leave it. I'm going to hope that time is a healer when it comes to our traffic, but I think the little fixes that we have made today will probably help a little bit in the long run. But I mean, yeah, let's focus on the fact that we have ferries and yachts and fishing in our waters. I'm so pleased about that. A little final check on the public transit. Yeah, we're up to 68,000. We were on 49, I want to say, before we made public transit free. And in particular, it's the trains that have really shot up. The buses haven't seen that much of an increase. The trams have seen a huge increase. So it kind of seems like no matter what the bus fee is, they're still going to go on it, even if they have to pay, whether it's free or not. But if trams and train are cheaper, they're definitely more attractive to that. Oh, and look, almost 5,000 people on our ferry networks. Brilliant stuff. But that is going to be all for today, so if you have enjoyed the video, likes, comments and shares are really greatly appreciated. There are ways to support the channel if you wish to do so in the description below, but that's all from me for now. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye.